Use the Force, Luke.
Live long and prosper.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
By Grabthar's hammer, what a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming. You're a wizard, Harry. Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit the Frog here.
Bow ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is a Play on Nerds. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen. It's my episode, you bastard. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Believe it or not, I think in 225 episodes, that might be the first time that's genuinely ever happened.
That's true. I'm that tired.
Hey, that means that we won't do it again until episode like 450.
Yeah.
It's
good.
We got a while. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Play on Nerds, episode 225. This week in addressing the much anticipated Jurassic Park Rebirth, we hone in on a rule of three, exploring another blockbuster film franchise, taking a deep look at the intersection where man and dinosaur collide in an ever-changing world. Of course, we are talking about Carnosaur 3, Primal Species.
Yeah. Which I didn't know existed.
Oh my, does it? And boy, did we watch a thing.
A Roger Corman classic.
I actually made a note that I went, hey, Roger Corman. But so much good to talk about later, but even better now. Jarman, what have you been up to since the last time we chatted?
I think we did so screwy of an intro. We didn't introduce ourselves for any new listeners
I'm Steve.
Out there.
If this is the one they're in on, I guess. But at this point, we've 225 episodes. If they're listening to any other one, we're fine.
It's true. Just this one we royally messed up.
This one where I forgot to say that I am Steve.
And I'm Jarman.
And we're here to co-host the hell out of this.
That's right.
The one time I didn't do it.
Because I screwed up your flow. That's why.
Hey, 450. We're good until 450.
When have I ever had to read an intro that you wrote? That's never happened before. So why would my brain think?
I think that it maybe has happened one or two times.
Maybe.
Where I wrote something special. Like when we had the people from that podcast on, I think I wrote an intro. You know, like there might be one or two occasions, but no, not many.
I think a lot of times when I see it's my intro, sometimes you've already written something in there, like a little bit, just to and I'll like expand on it to make it my own. But like, I don't know, my brain's just screwed up because I haven't slept.
I don't know. I just always remember that I'm odd because I'm odd.
I'm even because I'm even keeled, I guess. I don't know.
Ah, there you go.
But what have I been up to? Well, not sleeping, obviously. I'm going on a trip tomorrow, Friday, to see my sister in North Carolina. We're driving there, so it's an 8-hour drive to get up early in the morning. But I have a book that's due before I get back, so I'm trying to frantically record and finish this book that I'm recording before I have to leave. So it's been a little bit rough. I have more to finish tonight after the podcast. It'll be fun. But in the meantime, I've also been updating my website and trying to get my social media kind of ready to be updated because I have a big book coming out in the first called The Art of Vanishing. It's be my first book with Penguin Random House, so it's like my biggest thing I've had. I've seen a lot of advertisements for it. It's going to be in major bookstores. So they don't really sell audiobooks like they used to. Like you won't see me on the shelf, which is kind of sad, but it'll be popular by association, which is pretty cool. And so I got new headshots taken. I got one of my profile pic now on Facebook, which you might be able to see. Because my old headshots, I think I dyed my hair brown for the headshots. They look ridiculous. That was years ago.
The only headshots I remember yours are like real young.
Oh, yeah. I had the super young ones when I was like 20.
22, 23.
And then I had ones again.
Those are the ones I remember.
Yeah. I think 2014 was my last ones. That's when I dyed my hair brown. So it's been 11 years. And I look totally different. And so I thought it was about time because if people are looking up my name, like who is this guy narrating this book? And they'll find my webpage and there's old photos on there or crappy photo. I just wanted something nice. So yeah, that's been kind of taking up my time and getting ready to make videos. So I'm going to try to make videos for TikTok about romance narration and narration in general. I'll be recording from my booth with a little light and I have a nicer camera in there now too. And so if you guys have any ideas, audience, about any videos you might want to see, short form things I could talk about, I'm trying to avoid just talking about how to get in the industry because everybody does that, and more just like, fun stuff or goofy things you might want to ask an audiobook narrator, that kind of thing. So who knows?
Here's what you do. You have passages from a book, and then you put like stylistic choices in a hat.
Such as?
So like horny or suspicious or aggravated or feeling lucky or, and then interpret them on the fly for a paragraph.
It can change the scene depending on what you're.
Right. And it gives you replayability as far as using passages.
I do like
that sort of stuff.
Because one thing I've noticed a lot of audiobook narrators is they say they use the same tone throughout the whole book. They're not doing a lot of acting, which I don't want to overdo my acting or be over the top, but I'm like, you need some kind of emotion. Like she said gracefully, or she said this emotionally, or with great sadness, because these writers make this flowery language describing the dialogue, and the narrators say the same. They say it the same way no matter what. I'm like, what the hell? Why people like this? So that'd be a fun one to do. So how you can change it up, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to save this episode so that way when you make like millions on TikTok on this concept, that I can prove that it was my idea.
No contract was signed. You don't get any cut.
This is literally a verbal agreement.
Oh, okay.
This is literally.
And
this is evidence of you of stealing it. That's all I'm saying.
It's weird because I edit these things, so I can just cut that part out.
And then he said, "Yeah, that is a good idea, Your Honor."
But anyway, Steve, what have you been up to?
Well, let's see. Father's Day happened. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to go and do a day at camp, but it was just rainy and crappy. So we ended up checking out something called Rossi's Flea Market in Pittsburgh, PA, which is a hell of a thing. So it's an indoor flea market.
Nice.
Where vendors have booth spaces. So not like an out open sort of thing or line up tables. But what it is it's an old, big, like movie theater plex. Long since not a theater, where someone has come in and built some basic booth structures in, and there must have been 40 or 50 vendors in there. But then additionally, people have bought out theaters. So in this thing, theater size spaces with like raised seating and that kind of stuff. And they cleaned them out and made them like bigger shops. So inside of this then are like 3 massive antique / junk shops.
And it's still on a slope like the theater seats?
Yeah, the theaters are on the slopes. Everything in between is just hallway. But yeah, the ones that are shops, like full on shops, are in these big,
that sounds
crazy
great.
Spaces. A lot to look at, a lot of crap. Like a lot of just pure trash, but some really cool, weird stuff mixed in.
Did you buy anything?
No. I had money. We just didn't see anything that struck.
Gotcha.
So.
I'm hearing a lot of flea markets are being flooded with 3D printed crap. And
there was some of that.
Gotcha.
Not a lot. There was some.
And mugs that you can buy cheap online and crap. I don't know. Just not like stuff you'd want to buy at a flea market. I want to find old video games at a flea market.
There was plenty of video game stuff.
Nice.
Plenty. And then we survived locally the U.S. Open golf tournament taking place just like a mile and a half up the road from us.
Oh, yeah. It's also that on TV on
the
Father's Day.
Oakmont Classic or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, that ruined my commute for an entire week.
I didn't know that was there.
Yeah, like the community north of us. So we're Verona. Oakmont is like the town north of us. We walk there to go to the Ace Hardware. That's how close it is. But goddamn, that was a pain in the ass. And then Dilly, my son, we were having his 5th birthday party on Saturday, 2 days from when we're recording. And we are going to be spending a lot of time on the porch. So Ann and I set a lofty goal, and we spent the last 2 days scraping our railing and sanding. And we took down this awful cloth canopy thing that we've hated since we moved in. and we repainted everything and filled holes.
Dang.
and did it. And that's what we spent the last 2 days doing, was just getting the front porch looking nice.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, man, it was a bigger project than I was kind of anticipating.
Take pictures.
Really scraping the rails sucked. That was the worst part, because they're not just rails. They're those wrought iron ones that are twisted. So they have all these friggin' angles you got to go around. Yeah.
So you can't even use like a buffer on that, because like you have to get in there.
We did use a buffer, but it was painstaking going around corners and going down.
Owning
we
a
just
house
knew
is
that it
fun.
wasn't going to be perfect. And so we were just like, yeah, whatever.
It'll be uniquely yours.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that was, man, that was it.
But it'll be beautiful.
I am so friggin' tired. Well, I guess, though, with that, it takes us to some nerdy news.
With two tired guys.
I am so sleepy.
It's time for Nerdy News.
All right, well, it's time for nerdy news and Steve's favorite subject, the paranormal and UFOs. Woo!
As long as it's not ghosts.
It's not ghosts. It's not ghosts.
All right.
So this is actually pretty grounded stuff, but I'm calling this news story Project Gaslight. Like there's Project Blue Book, all that stuff, the UFOs.
Yeah.
This is Project Gaslight, I'm calling it. So there's been a recent Wall Street Journal article, which is odd in itself because usually they're very business related, but they did this big article about UFOs and the UAPs, and they partnered up with AARO, which is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which was revealed in only the past few years existed, being an official government agency that studies UFOs and UAPs, that they take all the reports. If you're an Air Force officer and you see something unexplained in the sky, you report it to AARO. That's like the organization in the government you report it to. That's an official recognized organization in the government. That's been around now, they say, for the past 10 years. I think it started with Harry Reid, the senator. Mm-hmm. But anyways, they've been talking to Wall Street Journal, and they said that they found that in the last several decades, if not longer, they're basically putting a blanket claim that most every UFO thing you've heard of or pictures you've seen or video you've seen is pretty much all misinformation from the government to cover up government projects so that the Russians and Chinese wouldn't figure out about our technology. Even going as far as saying that in most intel agencies, CIA, FBI, there's a popular hazing ritual where they'll take the new recruit in and they'll bring them in a room and say, you need to be briefed on UFOs and aliens. It's very important. This is very serious. And they even show them pictures and all this realistic looking stuff. And then when they come out of the room all shaken up and they can't believe it, everyone starts laughing at them because it's a hazing ritual and it's not really true. So they're saying, and they brought up a few specific cases of things that were never explained, claiming that they had now explanations for them, including a case from 1967, which I've known about for a long time on and off because it was a very popular case. Malmgren Air Force Base. It's where 10 of our nuclear warheads are held for a very long time. And back in 1967, this base went nuts with activity because they started seeing a UFO visibly with their eyes and on radar. And then there's actual reports of the radar data and this big, huge thing coming over top of them. All these officers saw it. And they're claiming that they found out what this was. It was just an EMP test, this very experimental EMP that they were using. And they didn't want the Russians to know about it, so they just covered it up and said it was a UFO. But basically, the power of the control, which is supposed to be isolated control of these nuclear warheads, turned off when this UFO was above the base. The rest of the power stayed on for, I think it was 10 minutes. They had no control over the nuclear warheads whatsoever. And then they came back, and then it came back on after 10 or 20 minutes. And they said that's never happened since. They did several reports on it, never knew what caused it. And so now the Wall Street Journal is saying AARO has researched this and found out it was an EMP that they were testing. But there's a guy named Captain Salas, who's an Air Force captain who was there when it happened. He says, we all saw a giant UFO. That's not an EMP. Also, EMPs destroy electronic devices. They don't just turn them off. They fry them so they no longer work. And also, he's like, why would they test an EMP on one of our nuclear bases? That's like the terrible idea in the world. So basically, we have some things that might be proven true, like they do these hazing rituals. A lot of things might have been misinformation to fool the Russians and Chinese or cover up experiments. But some of these stories are trying to say, oh, that's just this. Probably not the case. They still are pretty unexplained. Not just to say UFOs or aliens, but they're unexplained at this point. So
I don't know. Through all these years and all the times that we've talked, I've maintained that that it is probably easier for the government to let people think that it's UFOs and have it join the bandwagon of crazy shit for plausible deniability reasons than it is that UFOs are real or are seen as often as people say they're seen.
Oh, for sure. Like I bet a lot of the things are satellites, test aircraft. Sometimes even when the government doesn't know what it is, instead of saying they don't know what it is, they let the UFO alien things fly away, because then no one will believe that, and they don't have to say to the public, we didn't know what that was, because that would make them look bad.
Right.
So in a lot of cases, just letting it go. You're right.
It's easier for them to let it enter the UFO ether, we'll say.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was interesting that the Wall Street Journal put this out. I don't think it covers every unexplained event. Absolutely not. But it does make sense. It's something we've thought for a long time, that, the government just has a lot of disinformation campaigns. But the hazing thing I thought was funny. This new guy comes in. He's like, oh, aliens are real. So that was pretty great.
Sit down, son. You just joined the United States Post Office. We need to brief you on UFOs.
You're going to be delivering mail to aliens on Proxima 4.
You know what? They always use too many stamps. I don't get it. You can fly across the cosmos, but you can't figure out how to use 3 forever stamps.
And they never keep their dog in the porch. Anyways, I think that brings us to our main segment.
Yeah, that's right. Well, as I said, in honor of Jurassic Park Rebirth, we look at another dinosaur-ridden franchise, Carnosaur, specifically its third film, Primal Species, and a rule of 3. We start out in a military convoy. There's an ambush on the road. Men in black take out our boys in green. The ambush goes on for too long. It just goes on forever. And one guy who has cool guy sunglasses is calling the shots. They steal a truck and they get out of there. And then I put produced by Roger Corman, of course. Elsewhere on an oil rig or something, our boys in green are trying to save 3 hostages from the men in black. They take out the men. It turns out it's some sort of training exercise, and we as an audience have been tricked into thinking they were fighting the bad guys we saw in the opening scene. Mm-hmm. It was disappointing for me. Meanwhile, elsewhere, cool guy Shades gets pulled over by local law enforcement, and he friggin' shoots a cop in the head. Back at the oil rig or wherever they are, the general is very disappointed with the strike team for some reason. Then a guy with long hair that we're supposed to not like and then never see again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah, dude.
He's gone.
They do multiple lines about was it nepotism and it's the general's long-haired hippie son or something.
I forgot he was going to be so important in the story and never saw him again.
Yeah, we were really supposed to not like him, and then we really never saw him again.
I forgot all about that guy.
Cool guy Shades unveils their stolen cargo. They think that it's supposed to be nuclear weapons or uranium or something. Uranium. And it's filled with fog instead. And instead of letting the fog clear, he walks in blind. He finds multiple sleeping reptiles, he says. He is very upset. Him and the guy going to look, the dinosaurs wake up and they eat the crap out of Ryan, who gets a name and then immediately dies. And then they get Shades and the other baddies too. Local law enforcement roll up after hearing the gunshots to investigate. Elsewhere, the big general briefs the colonel about the serious situation and stolen cargo. His team is asked to retrieve it for the government. The cops go find the only survivor of the Carnosaur attack and radio back for help. Their commander shows up. Cut back. Some of the cuts here were so bad.
Oh, yeah.
The strike team loads into a chopper and heads down towards the police signal. The police move in and find the ripped remains of the baddies. They open the truck and release the Carnosaurs again. The strike team arrives investigating the carnage, but some of the crates collapse as they're looking into it, separating a few of them. The Carnosaurs make their move. 2 members of the strike team are immediately killed. The colonel is outraged with the general that they were sent into a dinosaur trap and were not told what they were looking for. The general makes them go back in because they can't lose this opportunity because they've got water on 3 sides and the harbor on the other or some crap. They'll never get a shot like this again. We get hit with this exposition dump by this cute blonde doctor lady. The Carnosaurs can breed without having sex, and they're extra smart because they have human DNA, and they mentioned the human DNA thing like 3 times. And then, but while she's giving this exposition dump, 2 of the Marines who just had, in theory, 2 of their closest friends on the strike team die, pass back and forth misogynistic notes about cute blonde doctor.
Oh, yeah. It was terrible.
While she is giving this briefing. I literally wrote down, why did this have to happen? The strike team goes to find the dinosaurs. They run into one of the velociraptors, somehow missing every shot, and the Carnosaurs attack. That's when we get our first real good look at how bad these puppets are. But their backup is there. A random other group of assorted soldiers shows up for no reason, kind of. They continue to hunt, and they lay a trap with a net. But then they take a break to do arm wrestling and sexism wordplay.
To do more sexism.
Very serious. These Carnosaurs could attack at any time. They're under high alert. But you know what? We're going to set down our guns, set up some crates, and watch the chauvinistic guy arm wrestle a woman for some reason. For like 3 scenes, too, this goes on. The trap is laid.
Somehow.
And meat is hung up. The Carnosaurs wander in, but as the trap is going to spring, the soldier with the detonator is grabbed by the Carnosaur. This allows the one that is covered in the net to escape, and one of the velociraptors is killed while the other one makes a run for it. As they examine the body, the velociraptor comes back to life. Not only do they have human DNA, they're like mortal, I guess. And the other Carnosaur attacks as it wakes up. Multiple people are killed and like beheaded and just decapitated and stuff. It's real good. They decide to set a different, better trap this time, but this time it's on a boat.
Somehow.
They take the boat out to sea, and we get like a travel by map sequence that shows them traveling like 1,000 miles in this boat.
Supposedly.
Like 1,000 miles out to sea in a matter of minutes. It's the fastest boat. The soldiers then go on the hunt in the ship, hoping to trap and freeze the Carnosaurs because it's a food hauling vessel, so it has coolant. That was like maybe the one part of the plot that actually made sense.
Yeah. How they got in the boat, who knows? But that, yeah.
Yeah, who knows how a T-Rex has been getting through this boat? Who knows? Sanders is killed when they open fire. He's like the last guy we like, kind of, and he's gone.
He had 4 lines, I think.
Hey, he had 7. The soldiers escape onto the elevator, which falls, and they go all the way down to the bottom of the ship to the cargo hold. That's where they discover the eggs, and they friggin' just shoot them. They shoot those eggs. The Carnosaurs are pissed, and they kill another guy. It doesn't matter. They're all throwaways. With only a few of them left, the 2 ladies split up and shoot some wharf rats while the 2 men hunt dinosaurs. The boat guy, the one guy who knew how to run the boat, is killed at a Carnosaur attack. Shots ring out. The lady soldier dies. Like the only likable character dies. leaving just the main guy and the blonde doctor lady. The T-Rex finally attacks. They're trapped between some shipping containers. It rams its head repeatedly as they're trying to hide inside. He rigs C4 on a timer, tosses it into the T-Rex mouth. Its head explodes, but this sets off the timers for all the other C4 explosives that I didn't mention or I guess realize were there until this moment. They have 30 seconds to get through a giant cargo ship that they've been wandering around inside of for hours and in theory have been living on for days while they traveled 1,000 miles into the ocean. Explosions cascade as they leap from the deck to the water below, presumably to drown after they get tired because they are thousands of miles from anything.
They're near Thailand, I think.
The two share a romantic moment, I guess. We get a cut back to the bad guy, one of the bad guys from the beginning of the film who was arrested in the back of a police car. The last time we saw him, he was bleeding out. He had a huge gash and laceration on his chest. So presumably he is suffering from major blood loss in the back of this car.
He's been there for weeks.
He's there for weeks. And then the Carnosaur attacks. And that's the end of the film. Boy, this movie occurred.
Yep.
So, have you been aware of the Carnosaur series?
No, I had not heard of this whatsoever, but I take it that you were.
Only vaguely. Here's the thing. Everything is relative because I worked at a video store.
That's true. During that time?
And so...
Oh, not during that time. It was after that.
But we're talking about, things on the shelves, restocking videos. So there are a lot of movies that, I'm vaguely aware of.
Especially straight to video ones.
Because of seeing a box, having to put it back somewhere, but not really aware of.
Right. You hadn't seen any of these.
No. I was not sure what to expect, but it was not this thing.
I had some random thoughts first before we get into our things we liked and didn't like.
Let's do it.
First of all, Michael McDonald from Mad TV. I don't want to.
As one of the police?
Yeah, that guy, the police guy. That was random. There's a dead, mutilated body towards the beginning when they first go into the check on where the cops are and stuff. Gets thrown at them from over these boxes. And they're like, that's weird. Look at that dead body. You shot that dead body good. I'm like, what just threw a dead body at you? They don't even care. There's no realism whatsoever. Lots of chauvinism. They use the F slur for gay people at one point in the movie, so that's rough to hear.
Yeah.
It is the 90s, but still terrible. They also, at one point at the end of the movie, they're having a little moment before they're setting up the net trap, and the one guy, Park, the weird redneck type of guy, whoever the hell his name was, he asked the commander guy, he's like, hey, have you ever served in combat with a woman before? They literally had a woman in their unit in the beginning of the movie who died first in the movie.
Yeah.
The only black woman in the movie, and she died immediately. She was in your unit. He's like, hey, have you ever served with a woman in combat before? It's like, yes, you have. You all have. Son of a bitch.
He just already forgot.
Yeah, who was that again? We served with for years. We're this A-team crack squad, whatever.
This counterterrorism unit that has been training together.
Yes. But also, before we get into this last thing, but this quote, there's one good quote from this movie that I really liked from that redneck guy. He falls on the ground or something because of some explosion or something falls on him. And he's like, man, my cojones shook hands with my tonsils. And I was like, okay, that's a good line. I like that.
That's a good one.
All right. But what do you like about this movie, Steve? He's trying to think.
Okay. Here's what I will say. Some of the Carnosaur effects and some of the puppetry stuff was pretty good.
Could have been better too, yeah.
It could have been way better. There was some of it that was really, really, really bad, though.
I feel like they shot those puppets better.
The spectrum
yeah.
of good to really, really, really bad was huge.
Yeah.
But there was a moment at the beginning when the guy with cool guy shades goes in the back of the truck and pokes his head past that plastic curtain, and there's like dinosaurs sleeping there. Those looked good. And I was like, oh, maybe this is better than I think. Those are good looking close up puppets. And then it just got worse from there. It just went downhill. And then the time you see the raptor walk for the first time, where you see like its bottom half,
it's a man,
which is like clearly on some sort of rolling thing.
Well, there's like a guy walking in one several times. You can see like the guy's like midsection through the puppet. Like it was terrible. A couple of the shots anyway.
It just got worse and worse and worse, and they could shoot around it all they wanted. But the thing is that we saw the same shots over and over and over again because they could only make it work so many ways.
Yeah.
Because of that, there was no diversity of footage. But some stuff was successful in that regard. Otherwise, this movie is just an abysmal black hole of subpar that is threatening to collapse in on itself.
I tried to find some things. It was definitely a solidly 90s style B movie, maybe C movie, which gave me some nostalgia, like smiles, because I'm like, this is ridiculous, but man, is it 90s, man, is it terrible. And that made me feel kind of good in a weird way. The orchestral score was actually pretty good, but very much like a Predator knockoff.
Yeah.
I can't reproduce it, but if you listen to Predator, you're kind of listening to the Carnosaur 3 soundtrack. A lot of sufficient explosions and blood and guts that weren't always terrible. They had a lot of fire.
Yeah. I guess some of the decapitation stuff was not bad effect. Some of that gore kind of stuff was not bad. But otherwise, the plot was nuts and incomprehensible. Them playing that joke on the audience up front felt like such hack work.
It was weird. The acting was terrible.
Yeah, the acting was so bad. The justifications for things were so bad. Like, once again, them passing a chauvinistic note shortly after two of, in theory, their closest team members died, though they forgot one was a woman already. Based on so like, maybe they weren't that close.
Have I served with a woman before? I don't remember. I have too much trauma. I forgot. They had
just for chauvinism's sake was awful and insane.
Like over the top chauvinism. Like even for that time period, it was like already outdated. And like you mentioned briefly before, the editing was so bad and confusing. It was always hard to tell why they were where they were or where they were. They would cut away from the warehouse to their general's office. I'm like, how far away is this general's office? And then they cut back and they'd be right back in the warehouse again. I'm like, who was watching these dinosaurs? Like they could have escaped this warehouse and gotten out. And then they kind of really quickly explained how the hell these Carnosaurs got on that boat. And I was like, why the hell are they on a boat now? Like, I don't understand how they even got on the boat. Like, what is happening?
Isn't one of them a T-Rex?
Yeah,
how does that fit on a boat?
At one point, they brought the thing to a tent somewhere, the dead body of the Carnosaur. Where was this tent? Like, we were never given establishing shots to show how this happened. It was just very confusing and bad.
Yeah,
bad
for me,
filming.
it was all the cutting between, like, bad guys, good guys, bad guys, police officers, good guys, police officers,
arm wrestling
bad
match,
guy, police officers, good guys, dead. It just didn't make sense.
Zero character development whatsoever, except for stereotypes.
There are only two actors whose careers survived this film.
Oh, who was it?
That's Michael McDonald, who you mentioned from Mad TV.
He had a small bit part.
And then Stephen Lee, who played the sergeant at the very beginning, who tells the guy to pee off the back of the truck.
Really?
That guy is like a working actor who, if you look at Stephen Lee, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that guy.
Good for him. He made it out alive. Oh, I will mention this earlier, but you mentioned Michael McDonald again from not SNL, from Mad TV, who's had somewhat of a career going forward past then. He was also in Carnosaur 2. He played a different part. He was different. He played someone else in that thing. He had a small role on an evac team pilot, apparently. So he was in 2 and 3 for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah. So what do you recommend this movie, Steve?
No. No, I would not. It wasn't even big enough or over the top enough. Like, you and I aren't laughing at the ridiculousness. You and I are not having a jovial discussion like we have about some other bad movies we've watched. Mm-hmm. This is very much like, oh my God, what can we find to talk about?
It's just so badly done.
So bad in so many ways.
I will say I did notice that I've had more fun with other movies that were edited well but had bad sound. And that happens a lot in these B movies. They have bad sound and bad dubbing.
Yeah, true.
This one had perfect sound. It really did. And in my headphones, I watched this whole thing, my nice studio headphones, and like there was actually stereo effects and everything. I'm like, okay. But the editing was so bad that it made everything worse. So like I would have preferred bad sound as opposed to the terrible editing. So
yeah, I agree.
No recommend for me. Some trivia, not that much. But at the end of the credits, I didn't see this because I didn't watch the credits, of course. A humorous blurb can be spotted, and it reads, "The American Dinosaur Association monitored all dinosaur actions. Scenes depicting violence to dinosaurs were simulated. No dinosaur was harmed or mistreated during the making of this film." So good for them. In America, the film's alternative title is Primal Species because it was originally not going to be part of the Carnosaur series, and they adapted it to be part of the series. Also, Rick Dean, who played Polchek, the I guess comic relief, terrible chauvinistic bastard. He also played Monk Brody in Carnosaur 2. So him and Michael McDonald were both in Carnosaur 2.
Wow.
Yeah. Cast member Justina Vale, I think, played the doctor. She said about the production of the film that a lot of it made me laugh. It looked like there was a guy in a dinosaur costume running across the room. So it was a challenge to get to the reality part of it, but ultimately it was a blast. Good. Glad she had a good time. And
glad someone did.
Yeah. A review of the film, critic Brian J. Dillard of AllMovie.com found the film to be boring and repetitive, rating it 1.5 stars out of 5. Dillard wrote, "The film reduced the Carnosaur series to its most basic elements, interchangeable soldiers being chased by interchangeable rubber dinosaurs," which is basically what this is.
He ain't wrong.
So that's Carnosaur 3. Also, I will say I did see in a trivia thing about production of this, the first Carnosaur was actually starting production before Roger Corman found out about Jurassic Park coming out. But he had a lot of scripts in play, but he pulled this one first. He's like, oh, crap, Jurassic Park is going to come out. Steven Spielberg, we need to put this in production now. So he purposely waited for Jurassic Park to kind of come out and then immediately released Carnosaur 1. So it was
Carnosaur 1 came out a month before Jurassic Park.
Oh, before. Okay, it was like right there.
I looked it up. Like there. He raced it. Yeah.
Yeah, he raced it to production and like he was trying to build off of that. And apparently Carnosaur 1, I've read some stuff, wasn't all that bad. So we'll watch that sometime. But Steve, you got a bit for us.
That's right. Well, I'll just tip our hat a little bit here. Our trailer review later is for the Naked Gun reboot with Liam Neeson. And so I started looking at Naked Gun, of course, classic comedy, 1988. So I looked at some of the other biggest films from that year, and we're going to do a bit that I call Cast the Recast Cast, where I'm going to give you a film and we're going to recast the main characters in it.
I love it.
Figure out who the hell would do it. All right. You ready?
Absolutely.
The Great Outdoors.
What is The Great Outdoors?
We're replacing Dan Aykroyd.
Oh yeah, that movie.
Sorry, I thought you would have seen Great Outdoors.
I think I might have seen it once a long time ago on Comedy Central, perhaps.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, a Dan Aykroyd type, a John Candy type.
Yeah, you know what I would throw in there? Throw like Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill in there.
Oh, Jonah Hill these days takes himself too seriously. I don't like him anymore as much.
That's why we need him in this movie to loosen up.
That's possible. But he's also a thin guy now. He's not like the big
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad is a classic. That's a good one. Yeah. Also, that guy is doing a lot of movies. He's funny and he can do serious. He's in the new Bruce Springsteen movie too, but I can't think of his name, so it's useless. But he's another fun actor. But yeah, Josh Gad could do the John Candy stuff, or a Jack Black perhaps.
What about Dan Aykroyd?
He's playing kind of the straight man, a little nerdy. You also got your Jason Bateman's. He's great at that, of course.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's got the good straight.
Jason Bateman or Paul Rudd. Get a Paul Rudd in there.
Paul Rudd, Jason Sudeikis.
Oh, good. Absolutely. That's it. That's
there you go.
Right there.
So we got Jason Sudeikis, Josh Gad. That's good cast there.
That's a good sell. That's a good sell right there.
I'd watch it.
I think someone would buy that. All right. Rain Man.
Oh. See, that's tough
and
these days.
I already have the right answer to this, by the way.
Because would they release Rain Man these days?
The correct answer.
Having a man play an autistic person, I don't know if that would work anymore these days, who's not an actual autistic actor. But we can still try. Do you want to hear the right answer? I have the right answer. Then give me the right answer.
The Skarsgård brothers. So you get Bill Skarsgård, who played It.
Yeah.
And is does big character swingy kind of stuff. And you pair him with the older one whose name I'm forgetting from True Blood.
No, I'm forgetting it too.
Not Bill. Yeah, Skarsgård brothers.
Alexander Skarsgård
in the Tom Cruise role.
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård in the
that works,
acting the shit out of it.
I don't think
that's
the
right answer. That's the Hollywood correct answer.
And I'm just glad you're not putting Timothée Chalamet.
We get Timothy. He's playing the car.
Yeah,
he's there playing a convertible.
I'm for it. That's a great idea.
Okay. No, so who else? But who else could play? We need a Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman type. Somebody who's a serious actor but can play.
Okay, Tom Cruise. Let's start with Tom Cruise type. Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Or was it Taron Egerton?
Yeah, he's a younger actor. I think Taron Egerton actually has that same kind of energy of young Tom Cruise kind of thing. Yeah, I think they're good.
Okay, so Taron Egerton, and then we need a good, solid character style actor.
Oh, you know what? The guy who's he's playing the new Bruce Springsteen movie. And he's in the Chef movie or the Chef.
Yeah. I know exactly.
What the hell's it called? The Bear.
The Bear with the guy
Jeremy Allen White.
Jeremy Allen White. Okay.
Yeah, he'd be great at the Rayman part. He's a Dustin Hoffman type too. He's kind of unusual looking face, but he's like a very serious actor.
There we go. I think that's another good one right there.
Perfect.
Taron Egerton and Jeremy Allen White. Okay.
They look kind of similar too, I think.
All right. Twins.
Oh God.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito.
Man, who do we be mean to that has a Danny DeVito type?
See, I don't think it has to be a Danny DeVito type. I think the idea is physically characteristic mismatch.
Yeah.
So we could do a super buff mega guy with a super skinny pole thin.
Oh, I got an idea.
Guy.
One of two guys from Big Bang Theory, either Johnny Galecki or Simon Helberg, could be the Danny DeVito part. A small nerdy guy.
Okay.
And then like a John Cena or something for the other guy, because he's a big guy actor.
Yeah, true. Get The Rock in there. He's doing what's he did, just everything. He's just doing everything.
I like the other guy better than The Rock, who played who was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Batista.
Dave Batista. Okay, Dave Batista. We got one.
And Johnny Galecki. It doesn't have the star power, but hey, it works. Casting.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there.
Yeah,
Richard Dreyfuss.
The age differences totally doesn't matter.
How old is Richard Dreyfuss?
I'm Richard Dreyfuss. He's very old now.
Age. He's 77.
Oh, I thought he was much older than that.
Batista age 56. Okay, so there's a bit of an age gap.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Let's see. 56-year-old actors. Let's see. Under the idea that they need to be the same age.
That's true.
Norman Reedus.
All right.
Will Smith. Peter Dinklage.
Hey, there you go.
There we go. Dave Bautista and Peter Dinklage in twins.
They could also do Junior. It'd be great.
We found it.
Go on.
All right. Well, good. Okay. Next one. I got two more. Okay. This one I think is an interesting mental exercise. Die Hard.
Okay. The first one. Yeah.
So Bruce Willis, but we got to remember when they made Die Hard, Bruce Willis was like a comedic actor from television.
Yeah. So let's look at
this.
This.
On The Honeymooners?
Not The Honeymooners,
what
but
the
it was
hell was
like
it called?
Something like that. Crap. What was it called? Moonlighting. Yeah. So you want a working class looking guy who just kind of unassuming, but kind of tough, but he's not a big jacked guy kind of thing. So you know who I would like? I'm looking at sitcoms right now, and I happen to love New Girl. Let's get someone like a Jake Johnson in there. He's got
Jake
a terrible
Johnson,
picture
okay.
on the first Google page. My God,
I could see it. The other one that comes to mind because you said Jake Johnson for me is what's named Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny.
That would be, but he's like almost impossible to make scary or like intimidating because he said that high pitched voice. He's so funny. I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It's mostly the voice that I think would ruin it for me.
Yeah. But no, I like the Jake Johnson idea, that vibe. I don't think we're quite on it, but I like that vibe.
Because, I mean, Jeremy Allen White would also work, but he's too serious. You need someone with a little bit of that comedic flair. Johnny Galecki. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. Okay, there we go. You said Jeremy Allen White. What about, what's his face from The Bear?
Oh, the other guy.
His name I can never pronounce.
He's in the new Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, he's in the new Fantastic Four movie. I can never say his name correctly.
Why is he not showing up in the main cast?
Eben Mossbarack.
Yes, that's a perfect one. Working class guy.
Bam.
Tired
just
of it.
Like
he looks
that.
Downtrodden, Perfect.
All right, just like that, we recast Die Hard.
Wait, who plays the villain?
Right.
What's his face?
Oh, shit. Hans Gruber.
Who plays Hans Gruber?
So we're looking for like a British actor, probably in his mid to late 30s.
Yep.
Maybe like a sharp looking type. What about like David Tennant?
Oh, David Tennant could be good.
We know he can play a villain because of his chops on Daredevil. No, Jessica Jones.
I got one. He's actually pretty popular right now, but he could really pull it off because he has those intense eyes. He was just in Wicked. I'm finding his name. Where'd he go? And he could, Jonathan Bailey.
All right, let's see. Jonathan Bailey. I gotta look him up now.
He could be a good Hans Gruber.
Oh, I could see it. And he's in the new Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah, he's in Jurassic Park Rebirth, speaking of.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a hot ticket right there.
Yeah, so we got some star power and got Eben Moss, Bacharach, and that guy. He can play the other guy.
Okay. Here is the last one.
All right, here we go.
Big. I saved the hardest one for last. Big. So we're looking for kid actor.
Right.
Adult actor. And probably love interest.
Okay. And a love interest. I got you. Bill Cosby. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was trying to think of a person of color, though, because, we've done a lot of white folks. So we could make this into, some black actors or Asian or something like that. Just thinking outside the box a little bit here.
Let's see. I'm looking at current child actors. I mean, the only thing is you got all the Stranger Things kids. Who are now all adults.
They're all adults now. That's a problem.
But yeah, this is really sad. I put in current child actors into Google and everyone is like 18, 17, 22, 20, 22, 25, 23, 23, 25.
Well, that's the problem is that there's no known child actors because they're unknown at this point while they're just child actors, and then they become more famous as they get older. So
okay. And true, it's not like the kid from Big went on to do anything huge.
No.
Okay, so the hell with that. We're not casting the kids. All right, who's Tom Hanks?
I think I'm on a new girl kick right now, and I think either of these actors could pull it off. If I wanted to do the person of color for this, Lamorne Morris, I think is hilarious with fantastic comedic timing, but can also play serious. He plays Winston in New Girl, but also Damon Wayans Jr., who's also in New Girl, who plays Coach. He's a family lineage, the Wayans brothers, all that jazz. But I think Lamorne Morris can play more comedic, more serious stuff. So I'd take him for it.
What about as far as star power? What about a John Boyega?
Yeah, he's got some comedic chops too. He can play
he
serious.
Does. And when you said comedic chops, it made me think okay, who else would hit that bucket?
Yeah, I like that idea. He's got more star power.
And that was the other thing, also more star power.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
All right, so then love interest. Oh, you know what? I think he needs more parts. It's not star power, though. That's a problem. You got to think of star power. You're right. Because I know comedic actors, but she's just. And so keep in mind that this is someone who has to be able to sell, has been entirely career focused.
Right.
Business suits, has lost track of what it means to have fun and be a kid.
Yeah. Someone who's in the same.
Amanda Seyfried, maybe. I'm
She's
looking
good.
at actresses in their 30s, about that range.
And she does good comedic and straight acting.
Anna Kendrick.
You know what? I love Anna Kendrick.
That didn't feel right.
So I'll watch anything she does. I think she's fantastic.
Okay. Calm down.
You could do
Cara Delevingne.
Almost too young. Maybe not. I guess she's kind of the right age now. I feel like people are young and they're not at all.
Daisy Ridley. No.
She hasn't been anything in a while.
Amelia Clark.
Always.
That's my final offer.
Final offer, Amelia Clark. Set it in. I like it.
Set it in. Make it happen.
Make it
Hollywood.
There's our weird big movie.
It's our weird big movie. All right. Well, that bit has been Cast the Recast Cast.
Very nice. And that brings us to some radical recommends.
I recommend.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
What do you recommend I do?
I recommend Pleasant.
All right, so this will be, nothing that monumental because I bet a lot of people have watched this, but Andor Season 2, I finally was able to catch up, and it did not disappoint in my opinion. It was hella good. It's just such a well-crafted show. I mean, the cinematography, the dialogue, the characters, it just takes you on a journey and makes me really want to watch Rogue One again, obviously. I haven't done that yet after watching this season. But it's just all this lore and minutia that had to take place for such a big thing to happen in Star Wars A New Hope. And you watch how it all came to pass and the effort it took to get this rebellion off the ground. It's incredible. Just something that I bet George Lucas never would have, imagined would be so carefully crafted on screen. So yeah, it's crazy good. If you haven't already watched season 1, definitely keep watching season 2.
I've watched season 1. I'm a few episodes, I think probably halfway through season 2.
Nice.
And I agree. I hate Rogue One.
I remember that.
I think it is one of the worst Star Wars offerings that people just suck its dick all the time.
I know.
Give me that sweet Rogue One in my mouth. Everybody sucks its dick and I hate it. And what I will say is Andor has made me hate that movie less.
So that's good. That's good.
which just speaks to how good it is the show to make me unhate something I really hate.
I feel like it would have been almost smarter to have this show first and then have that movie be all the more devastating and more powerful if they'd done this first.
Yeah.
But I liked Rogue One, but it was nowhere near my favorite Star Wars movie. But this might be my favorite Star Wars TV show that there is. But
oh man, everyone's just getting that thing off and working the shaft. It's fucking
popping the balls.
I hate Rogue One.
I definitely did not hate it. But yeah, the show is pretty damn good. A lot of politics. Man, George Lucas would have had a boner for that, the politics, but you know.
Oh yeah.
But still, they do it right. It's great. But yeah, Andor season 2. That's my recommendation. But that brings us some trailer reviews.
All right, this week, as I mentioned earlier, I chose the new Liam Neeson reboot, The Naked Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Drebin Jr., played by Liam Neeson, taking over Frank Drebin's mantle
from Leslie Nielsen
as the zaniest police.
Police squad.
So, John, what did you think of this trailer, and what are your expectations for the movie?
I think we've had 2 trailers now, and I don't remember the one thing that gave me hope, because the trailers didn't. Some of the gags look hilarious and perfectly in spirit with the old Police Squad and A Naked Gun, and the same. I think it's the Abrams brothers who then did Airplane and all that stuff, and they had just this unique humor. I think they're really keying into some of that. Some of it looks like they're trying to do too much action, like fight scenes, and making Frank too much of like a Taken style cop, and I'm hoping they don't do too much of that, because the trailers maybe trying to play some of those parts up for mass audiences, but hopefully they don't. But the people who did this movie, they did really good comedies recently, and I can't remember who they are. I'm gonna look it up, but Akiva Schaffer. It's the people who do Lonely Island.
Okay,
so that gave me some hope, because they're reliably pretty damn funny, and they craft pretty good stuff. Sometimes ridiculous movies that don't do the best in theaters, but they're not. They're funny though. But I don't know. I like the casting idea. Another serious actor like Leslie Nielsen was. In his aging years, they make him Frank Drebin, which is hilarious. I think it's a perfect casting choice for that. But just hope they don't lean too much into the action. I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. Really, really mixed bag. Some of the visuals they use, so like him driving the car and the guy handing him the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
The inexplicably funny things. Or is it Pam Anderson?
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson. He's saying, take a seat, and she just grabs it and drags it out of the office, and you hear it banging into shit.
Yeah, that's perfect.
As she's walking and stuff.
Naked Gun humor.
That is perfect on brand.
Yep.
But then they showed a fight scene where Liam Neeson like rips a guy's arms off and then hits him with them, and then hits him in the balls with them, and I went,
that's like child humor, not Naked Gun punny humor. Like,
yeah.
But then they have a scene again where he's looking at the portrait of his dad on the door, the wall of the police office, and he's like, "This is for you, father." And then as you pan out, you see all the rest of the police officers looking at the pictures of their dad up on the squad wall. And then the one guy at the end is looking at the picture of O.J. Simpson. He's
Norberg. Yeah.
He looks at the camera. He's like, nah. That was good Naked Gun humor too.
So some of it looks incredibly on brand, and some of it looks like I'm going to go,
yeah. Like dumbing it down kind of thing.
So I hope I'm wrong, because I agree. Liam Neeson, for the same reason Leslie Nielsen was a good choice.
Exactly.
Very serious background, found comedy late.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. My fear, you're right. They're going to sell it as an action thing because Liam Neeson.
They feel like they have to. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to. So this week, the thing I always loved about the Naked Gun movies was the opening credits, where you're in a police car, and it cuts through different scenes where it's inside a pinball machine, and it's going through traffic, and the sirens going the whole time. So so this week Raul Julia wakes up and he's incredibly groggy. He's like, where am I? Oh, what was in that soup? Gary, what did you make me? And his eye become blurry. He's strapped into a harness. His head is sticking up out of a car. And they're going 50 miles per hour down the freeway. Down in the driver's seat is Gary Busey going, I was like, Gary, let me down. I saw the movie, let me down. Gary's like, now we're going to go through a car wash next.
I like it. Mine will go off of one of the scenes we didn't talk about in the trailer. But basically, Raul Julia's going to the bank and he's getting a withdrawal. His large paychecks from his wonderful acting jobs.
Royalties, yeah.
Something pulls on his back of his pants. He turns around. There's this little girl standing there. And she says, give me your money. He's like, oh, I'm not giving you my money. I'm Raul Julia. This is my money, but you're a cute little girl. Goes to pat her on the head, and she swipes his hand away and then pulls off her face mask and turns into Gary Busey. A full Gary Busey.
Give me all your money.
And then suddenly that person pulls off their face mask, and it's actually, what's his face? The My Left Foot guy.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's Daniel Day-Lewis. He's been studying for a part this whole time. So he was so embedded in the part that he was playing Gary Busey for years as the roommate of Raul Julia, but then also playing a little girl in the bank.
I drink your milkshake, Raul. I drink it up.
None of that makes sense.
My straw reaches all the way over here.
So yeah, that's a review for that trailer. Check it out, folks.
It feels appropriate.
So join us next time. We're going to be talking about Superman is coming out in theaters for the DCU launch, the James Gunn Superman. So in honor of the Rule of Three, we're of course going to talk about Superman 3, the classic with Richard Pryor and Christopher Reeve.
That's how I know it. The one with Richard Pryor.
I forget what it's about, the third one.
I know no other plot points other than Richard Pryor is there.
He complains a lot. He's very loud in this movie. I remember that. That's about all I remember.
Is this the one where he inherits $1 million and has to spend it so he can inherit more money?
And Gene Wilder's there, I think.
Yeah, Gene, just for some reason. That might be Brewster's Millions, but I don't think so.
That might be Brewster's Millions. Not the right movie. So yeah, join us for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, come on back and be our nerdy audience. We'll keep coming back to be your nerdy co-hosts. Thanks again, Internet.
Stay nerdy, my friends.
Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Feel free to email feedback at aplayonnerds.com with all your questions or comments.
Shoot us a message on Facebook or Twitter and earn yourself a sweet shout out on the show.
Review us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so even more nerds can find us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, we aren't picky.
Check out our entire back catalog and other offerings at aplayonnerds.com.
And how?